Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite books of this year so far. So I have a couple books with me. I have two of my 4.5 reads, and then I have like maybe five of my five-star reads. I've only had five stars this year so far, and so I'm just going to be talking about my favorite books that I've read since the beginning of January until the end of March. So like for the first quarter of the year, how are we doing? How are we feeling? What are our favorites? And we're gonna chat about it. We're gonna have so much fun. And so let's go. I think I'm going to start with my 4.5s first. The first one is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. As I said before, I rated this one a 4.5 stars. This was just such a fun time. I highly recommend this if you want like an adventure, but that's also like magical and eerie sort of, and there are a lot of different aspects of like royalty and balls. There are a lot of balls and like ball gowns and stuff like that. And it's like, if you want that fun, magical ball gown, running after the prince in the forest, and then you have this magical flower wall, and then this random errand that you have to go on, and then you fall into this path of someone. Like, I highly recommend if you want just a fun, magical time. I loved this book. I thought it was just like honestly just so much fun. Another thing that I really liked about this book is that I read it like immensely fast. I read it in one day. I picked it up the morning of. I read 50% in the morning and then I completely finished at night, and I read it on paper too. So usually when I finish that book that fast, it's because I listened to the audio and I was listening to it as I was doing other things. But this one I read it on paper and flew through it and I loved it. And it was just a fun time. So 4.5. And then for my second 4.5-star read, I have Funny Story by Emily Henry. I just loved everything about this book. I loved how much our female main character grew. I loved our male main character, just how like compassionate he was. I think the reason that I didn't give this book a 5 stars was I was a little bit like irritated with our female main character at first because like she was just really doubtful and she never believed our main character and she never believed Miles, who is our male main character. She was always like very doubtful and like standoffish and kind of frustrated and just like a little weird. And so I was like, ugh, this is a little frustrating. But then by the end of the book, you understand why she's like that and you have a lot more compassion for her. And I think that's something that I really like, just like the character growth that you go through with Daphne, our female main character. And she really redeemed herself by the end. Like you understand her more and you see her grow from this doubtful like woman to this strong, independent, but also loving person. And it's really beautiful. And also their relationship was adorable. And she works at a library. Like, yes, please. So 4.5 stars for this one. Very, very fun. Okay, so now we're moving on to my 5 star reads. So I have five of those, which is actually like a really big amount for me because I don't give 5 stars really easily. And I've given 5 stars in 3 months. So go us, everyone. We're doing great. But I have the 5 stars with me here. First one is Scythe. The funny thing is, I actually finished this book today and I gave it a 5 stars. This book, I don't know how to say it, but it was genuinely like fascinating. This is a sci-fi book, and we're following Citra and Rowan, and they live in a world where humanity has conquered death. They've conquered any possible way that you could die except fire, but like there are so many precautions against fire now. Like firefighters are everywhere. They're like right at the hint of smoke, they're going. So fire isn't really a problem. But like people like splat, which is like they jump off buildings just to get revived again, just for the excitement of it. Like they can't die. Like they figure it out. Even if you're dead, even if your head is cut off, you can still get revived. And so they live in a universe where no one dies, and so they need to appoint certain people that are called scythes for population control. So scythes are in charge of gleaning, which is like killing, and they have to kill or glean people to make sure that the population remains controlled. And Citra and Rowan fall into a sudden apprenticeship to become scythes just because of situations. They both don't want to be scythes. And as they get trained, you learn more about the world and about some corrupt things in the government that are happening. And it's just like, it's really fascinating. I've never read a sci fi book like this before. I read Red Rising, which like I liked, but it wasn't my favorite. But this, I was a little skeptical and I was a little scared to go in it, but I'm so glad I read it because it was so good. The ending was just so good, and I cannot wait to get to the next one. Like, just the way that things wrap up, you get closure on things, but you also get so much joy because you're like, oh, I'm so glad this happened, but then you're also frustrated, like, where is this gonna go? Where's this plot line gonna evolve? Like, there's still this going on in the background, the whole like I think it's like the big plot that's gonna happen throughout the series. I think there are 3 books in this series and like a couple novellas. So I'm really excited to continue this. I loved it. It was fascinating. We got like tiny, tiny hints of romance. There's basically no romance, but like there's an understanding that there's a little something going on. But really, really good. So very solid 5 stars for me. Next, we are not surprised at all in the slightest bit, but we have A Quarter Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Let me just start off by saying I came into this book not expecting myself to like this. I thought I was going to hate this book because throughout the whole Akatar series, I just was so irritated by Nesta constantly. Like I lost all my source of patience. I was just like, I can't with this girl. And I think that was kind of everyone. Like they were all like, well, how are we gonna read a whole story about her? So going into this book, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. Like I'm scared I'm gonna want to DNF it. And the thing is, I love Sarah J. Maas. Like I love her books. I'm about to start Crescent City, so I'm like, ugh, I have so much love for Throne of Glass. Like, I love that series. So I was like, I really want to like this, but I'm scared I'm not going to because I can't stand the main character. 5 stars. 5 stars. The thing that I really loved about this book was the character development. Nesta, at the beginning, she was the irritable character. She was the character that we all didn't like. But throughout this book, we saw so much growth in her. She has grown so much. She was in such a dark place, and she just like escaped that place through pure will and strength. And she's just like, you grow to love her because she's so strong. She's such a good representation of what it is to be independent and strong-willed and driven. You just can't help but love her. You can't help but love her. And I love Nesta now. Like I love her. She's so strong. She just represents how like you can always get out of a dark place. Like if you're she was depressed at the beginning of this book, and through working on herself and getting out and seeing the people that you love, and the way that she was so isolated and she didn't want to see the people that cared about her the most, and then the way she just opened up to them was really beautiful. And it was just like I loved it. I loved every part of this book. I loved it. And Cassian, I need to stop because I could talk about this book for hours. Next, we have Out on a Limb by Sarah Bonham Young. Love this one. I don't have a physical copy of it, but this is what it is. And I rated this one 5 stars, just because Bo is Bo, the male main character, is just the perfect representation of what the perfect man is and who he is and what he stands for. He was just so kind and constantly there for her, and he was like perfectly involved to the point where he was still like input himself, even if she was like, don't talk to me, I need to be alone. He was like, still he showed her that he was there for her without invading on her space. And it was just beautiful. He was such a presence in her struggles. So Out on a Limb, we're following Win, and Win is independent, she's free-willed, she's living her life, she's content with her life. And then she gets into a one night stand with Bo, and she gets pregnant. She thought she couldn't because she was on birth control and everything like that, but she gets pregnant, and she tells Bo, and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna be there for you through it. And they basically, through the book, each chapter is like a little portion in her pregnancy, and we go through her whole pregnancy with her, and it's so beautiful. I didn't think that I would like this just because it's not really the stage of life that I'm in at all, but I just loved Bo, first of all. I loved how he was there for her, which I just said. I loved their chemistry. I also thought it was like fascinating to see and learn about all the details about pregnancy and everything that she was going through. And I feel like Hannah Bonham Young really did did it well as to it was a huge part of the book, but there was also more to it and more educational purposes to it too. I love being able to get something out of a book, but still be really, really entertained. Also, can we talk about who can be the best friend competition? I'm gonna leave it at that. And can we also talk about the morning sickness in the bathroom scene? Obsessed. Bo is perfect. That's all I'm gonna say. Period blank. Next up, I fear we all know what's coming. Daisy hates. Are we surprised? No. By how much I talk about this on my channel, I'm obsessed with the Magnolia Park series, and I read Daisy Hates this year. I fear I'm unwell. I fear I'm in pain, but in a good way, but also in a terrible way. This book was so the way I'm going to talk about it, it's like, why are you rating this 5 stars? But it's like, it was so emotionally exhausting. And like, but like, I loved it. Like, I love all the characters. Every single character in this book, I have such an emotional connection to, and I love them so much. And it hurts me that they're hurting. And I love BJ and Magnolia and Daisy and Christian and Julian. I'm like, my heart is just, it's so full, but it's also so empty because they're in so much pain, and you just go through all of these situations that are happening to them, and you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah. So this is 5 stars. By the way, we are following Daisy, who is the sister of a gang lord, and he protects her with his life, and she's in danger all the time. And then we're following Christian, who is the brother of another gang lord, but the two gang lords are friends, and it's not really a gang; it's more like crime lords. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's money, it's rich people, it's danger, it's guns, and it's really good. It's really, really good. And last, but certainly not my least 5 star, we have As Good as Dead, which is the third book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I loved this book. This was my favorite in the whole series. It was the only one that I gave 5 stars. The other ones I gave 4.5 stars to. I just loved it. I was so invested. The ending, you're joking. The way I was walking in my neighborhood listening to the audiobook, because I listened to the audiobook of this book because she has her podcast, and it's kind of like you're listening to her podcast and you're in it, and then she like gets a phone call, but like the phone call is actually to you, and it's like, it's really good. Highly recommend the audiobook. I listened to it through Libby with my library and everything like that. But I was on my walk listening to the end of this book. My jaw dropped. I put my hand over my mouth, and I straight up walked with my hand over my mouth for 30 minutes, for like 30 seconds after when the book had ended. I was like, for 30 seconds, just walking. My neighbors probably thought I was crazy, but what? You're joking. What do you mean? So, this book was so good. I feel like we matured with Pip throughout the whole series. We just saw her growing up as she was a senior in high school, and then a later senior, and then through summer and everything like that, like with college, and you just go through her whole senior year with her, and it's like, it's fascinating how much she changes, both for the good and for the worst. And we also see how her relationship with Ravi evolves. This book, we are following another murder that she is trying to investigate. The first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, we're following Pip and Ravi as they investigate a murder of a girl that was, how many times can I say murder in one sentence? Murdered um, in their high school, and she investigates it, and she tries to solve it, and it's just, we're following her through it. We're reading her notes. We're seeing the evidence board. We're seeing all the things that she's putting together, and we're almost like figuring out the murder with her. And that's what happens through the whole series. She solves multiple different mysteries, and we're just going along with her, and we're making connections at the same time as her. It makes you feel really smart, but also really fascinated, as like, she's so smart. And this one is another one of her mysteries, but this one was my favorite, and it was so much more than just a mystery. We see her grow, we see her evolve, we see her go on a crazy wild ride. If you know, you know. 5 stars. This was genuinely amazing, and I think it was a really good ending. I don't want to say perfect because my heart hurts a little bit, but at least we got closure, and it was not the worst ending that I could think of, and it was a 5 stars anyway. So what else can I say? Solid 5 stars. So those were my favorite reads of the year so far. I don't know where this year is going to take us. I know we're going to have so many more amazing reads that I get to yap about to you guys, but these so far in the months of January, February, and March have been my favorite years, favorite books of 2025. So I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for just like listening to me yap about books. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got some good book recommendations. Please comment down below if you have any videos that you guys want me to make or book recommendations that you need or anything like that. I'm here for you, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You were entertained by it, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day, of the week, and I will see you guys later. Bye.